Alright, we're going to talk about contour lines. Now contour lines are the lines that essentially when you draw something that show the three-dimensional shape of that thing. It's the lines you typically think of when you think of just the lines in like a cartoon drawing that kind of show how it exists in three-dimensional space. But let's look at some pictures and to get an idea of it. So here is a soccer ball. Now this ball, if I were to try to draw just the outline of it, like a little red circle like that, and I took the picture away, you would notice that it only looks like a circle, right? It doesn't have any sphericalness to it. It doesn't look like a ball. But if I go back to that picture and I draw more lines that are contour lines, now I can see when I take the picture away that it has a three-dimensional shape to it, right? Each one of those pentagons or hexagons almost follows a different plane or angle on the ball, and you can really tell how the ball exists in three-dimensional space. Here I've got a circle, and it doesn't look like a three-dimensional ball. It really looks like a flat piece of pizza or like a little crosshairs, because in reality that's what it is. And all these images are really just flat things, and we're just creating the illusion of this three-dimensional shape. So in order to create the illusion, I need to follow these imaginary contours, the idea of where this object might exist if it were in three-dimensional space. So these lines are going to have to curve around the object. Just like that. Now the ball is starting to look more three-dimensional. It's almost like it's coming out at you, and that illusion is created by the sensation of these curves. So there's two vocabularies that we're going to talk about, and we're talking about the idea of the contour lines following the form. So you can think of a form as any three-dimensional shape. So here we've got two examples of simple shapes and simple forms. So these are like the simple versions of shapes. Now of course a two-dimensional shape can be any shape, but here we have the simple versions like a square or a circle or a triangle. Now in terms of a form, the three-dimensional version of that would be a cube or a pyramid or a sphere, right? So any sculpture would be considered a form. Any flat design would be consistent of shapes. So it's really all about whether or not it is flat or it has three dimensions. And in order to draw the three dimensions and show that on paper, you need to think about the idea of cubes and spheres as opposed to squares and circles. So here we have a contour line drawing of a shoe, and you'll notice a couple of things on this. This is what we call a continuous contour line drawing, and these are the ones we're going to be doing in class. They are actually just drawn with one line, and if you notice that they're drawn very slowly, you can tell by the quality of the line. That's why it kind of shaky a little bit, but it's also drawn with a lot of detail, really paying attention to every seam, every crease, every rivet. You can see the shoelaces. You can tell that the heel is pointing towards you and the toe is pointing away from you by the way the lines curve around this object. Here's another example. You've got these sandals. You can see that the straps of the sandals, how they curve, where they're moving in three-dimensional space. They're highly detailed. You can see every hole of the straps, the buckles, everything. Here's some more examples. These are hands, and the thing I want you to notice is how the fingers and the hands really feel like three-dimensional things because of these wrinkles that are going around the thumb, where the skin folds in on itself. It really shows the roundness of the fingers and the way the thumb and everything overlaps each other and creates creases. That's what really helps these drawings look like three-dimensional objects. Here's another contour line drawing of some soda cans. And you can see how the labels on these cans, they don't look regular and flat. They curve and they get kind of broken up because the can is crushed. And like the S in the Sprite can is kind of hidden behind a one of the folds of the wrinkled can. And so it changes the angles of everything, and that really helps it look like a three-dimensional thing. So here we have a drawing, stages of a drawing actually, of an arm, and we can see that on the arm, you see that on the first drawing, you can see that the it's just simple shapes. We've got kind of triangular shapes, maybe almost like an oval shape. Even this hand, it's more of a complex shape. It's not a circle, triangle, or square, but it doesn't have any depth to it. It still looks like a flat shape. The contour line stage is this stage. That's the stage where we really see where the skin curves, where things kind of wrinkle together, how the roundness of the fingers, the roundness of the thumb, right? The curvatures of the muscles as they go, the muscle as it curves into the back. That's the stage that we're going to focus on. It's the contours, these lines that show the three-dimensional form of this arm. Beyond that, we can add some shading to add that'll help show the depth of this drawing, and then we can refine that shading to be even more detailed. And you can notice that the more detail you have the shading, the more realistic and full of form it's going to be. The same thing with the lines. The more detailed the lines are, the greater you're going to show the form of the object. So in summary, we want to just remember that a contour line is a line that shows the shape and the form of an object. So in order to have that definition, I think we mostly all know what shapes are. So the form of an object is the shape and structure of a three-dimensional object. So here we have the examples of shapes: squares, circles, triangles. But what we want to draw is three-dimensional forms like cubes, pyramids, and spheres. And in order to draw those forms, we need contour lines. Contour lines are what make the cubes look like cubes, the spheres look like spheres, and the triangles look like triangles, based off of these extra lines, the contour lines.